कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमो पङ्कजनाभाय नमो पङ्कजमालिने नमो पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रि। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गे राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। टी वैष्णववृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा दामोदर भगवान की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताई की जय। लक्ष्मी नृसिंहदेव भगवान की जय। गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। वर्तमान गुरु वृंद की जय। इस बोलने जय पिता स्वामी गुरु महाराज की जय। हरे कृष्णा। So I was told that today's class is for the youth, so I thought I'll take up something that the youth can relate to. Actually everybody can relate to this topic. I was thinking that since war is so much in the news, we are all hearing about Israel and Gaza, about Russia and Ukraine. Then recently there was a tussle, India and Pakistan, this war and so many wars. But actually even if these wars stop, there is another inner war that we are all the time fighting. Even if the external wars stop, then there are these inner conflicts that we have, the inner wars that we have with the war of identity, the war of temptation, distraction, the war of laziness, the war of stress, anxiety, and so many things. So we are having a regular inner war. So I thought that today's discussion, we will focus on how to fight the war within, or rather how to win the war within. So in ISKCON we always talk about this major war that we are fighting with Maya, like how to fight with Maya and how to get closer to Krishna. And Maya comes wearing the hoodies in disguise. She's wearing a hoodie of temptation, sometimes wearing a hoodie of distraction. These are her two favorite tricks. She makes us remember things that we shouldn't, that is temptation, and she makes us forget things that we should remember, and that is distraction. So today I thought that I will talk largely on temptations, which is keeping us away from Krishna. Today in the morning at Vishakhapatnam, we celebrated International Yoga Day in a very grand way. The Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, was here along with the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, and they are trying to get this on the Guinness Book of World Record, the largest gathering of so many lakhs of people doing yoga together. So there are all these green carpets laid all over the city on the roads, and it was a beautiful sight to see. And especially since the temple is on the beach, so the whole stretch from Bhimli to RK Beach was like a beautiful. There was an ocean outside, and there was an ocean on the road, like the ocean of people. And it was so beautiful, and they were making people do, there were big LED screens, on every street and corner, and they were making people do in and out. And somehow coincidentally today, my media team broadcasted a poster where somewhere in some class I must have told that, if you want Krishna in your life, then you have to, throw things out from your life which is stopping Krishna to get in. So I was just so much meditating, because when I saw the poster, and then also they were doing this in and out in yoga, Anulom Vilom, and breathing in, breathing out, and all that thing. So I was just thinking that, to get Krishna in, in our heart, there are certain things that needs to be going out from our heart. Then we can make place for Krishna. So what is that in our life that's keeping Krishna out from our lives? And I was thinking that, distractions and temptations, there's two tricks of Maya, keeps us far from Krishna. And though we understand, we can understand we don't want to do this, but we end up doing it. I was just contemplating that, people smoke. There are many people who smoke. Years ago, many decades ago, they had this thing written on the cigarette that smoking may be injurious to health. And after some time, they stopped using that word may. Smoking may be injurious. They said, no, smoking is injurious to health. And now we see it's not even smoking is injurious to health. They say smoking kills. There are advertisements everywhere. Though the message is getting stronger day by day. It's no more smoking may kill, smoking is injurious, smoking kills. They're making an announcement, statement. Still people are tempted to smoke. So the message is getting stronger, but still the temptation also is getting stronger, because temptation does not always scream. It whispers, and it gives you a logic. Just this one time. Just this one time, that's all. And after that you don't have to indulge, and then we just give in, and we indulge. So I was remembering in my college life, I had heard a very nice quote from Oscar Wilde. He said, I can resist everything except temptation. I can resist everything except temptation. So Krishna also says that Mama Maya Durataya, very difficult to fight Maya, because Maya is also again Krishna's energy, and Maya comes in different forms. So today we will deeply talk about the inner war that we have to fight every day with temptation, how there is this inner fighting. There may be so many wars happening externally, but 24/7 we are fighting an inner battle with that force within our heart, which is stopping us to becoming the best version of ourselves. And what should we do about it? So I thought today I will talk about what are the types of temptations, what are the causes of temptations, what are the solutions of temptations, and what can be the practical tips to resist them. So what are the types of temptations? When the word temptation, you hear it, for somebody who is a foodie, maybe a picture of a cake may come out, chocolate cake, or for somebody maybe a movie, for somebody maybe cricket. Whatever is their weak point. So what are the different kinds of temptation? Because we can't limit temptation to simply sensory pleasure. There are so many kinds of temptation. So of course the basic temptation is sensual temptation, where your eyes or nose or ears are agitated to indulge in something which is not appropriate for Krishna consciousness. And when we talk about those bodily pleasures or something, the famous character from Bhagavatam who comes into our mind is Ajamila, because he got tempted. When he saw the prostitute, he got tempted and he indulged and he broke the 4 regulative principles. So yeah, one type of temptation is sensual pleasure, which involves your different senses. Then there's another temptation of ego and pride. One may have control over one's senses. One can, maybe do very strictly sadhana, but one can't control one's pride. One is tempted towards that. So the kind of an ego, for when I put it in the lingo of the youth, it can also be temptation of flexing. I mean, I don't know, this is a vocabulary I learned from my younger son. I didn't know what does it mean by flexing. I thought flex means flex, You put a flex, for Janmashtami or Rath Yatra. And he said, no. And he explained me what does flexing mean. And I said, oh, really? So that was something interesting. I every day learn something from my children. So anyway, social media temptation of flexing, temptation of trying to prove what we are not, or exaggerated we want to exaggerate of what we are not, our appearance. That is also one kind of an temptation. And when we talk about that temptation, we remember Indra. Indra was flexing. He wanted to show Krishna that I am the boss and I can disturb your Vrindavan Leela, and he sends rain. So yeah, that is also one kind of temptation where you want to show how important you are and how significant you are. So that's one kind of a temptation. The other kind of temptation is emotional temptation. Maybe getting attachment in such a way which clouds your judgment, and that attachment can be towards people, possessions, even to the pets. Sometimes people get attached to the pets. I remember there was one devotee. He was a congregation practicing serious devotee. And the fact that he wouldn't come for the Sunday class was just because of his dog. He couldn't just give up on his dog. No, who will take care of my dog? And sometimes he said he just feels lonely when I come back from the Sunday feast program, the kind of look that he gives on the face, he's feeling lonely, so I'll miss the Sunday class. Of course, now there is Zoom and all, but those days there was no Zoom, and I used to wonder, how can somebody be so attached to something that they can give up a Sunday program just because my dog gives a look that he's feeling lonely. So yeah, temptation, emotional temptations. And when we talk about emotional temptations, we'll remember Bharat Maharaj. He got attached to a deer, and then we know what he ended up at. So yes, sensual temptations, temptations of ego and pride, emotional temptations, and temptations of procrastination and laziness. Tempted, you want to do it, but somehow you will procrastinate things. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. It may be cleaning your room, it may be maintaining personal hygiene, it may be anything, or your laundry, but the procrastination, you are tempted not to do it, wasting time for unimportant things. When we remember that, we can remember Sugriva. It was all clear. He became king now, and he was supposed to go and deploy his monkey forces to search Mother Sita, but he was procrastinating, was tempted to, I think I can do it later on, after 4 months, after this, after that. Then comes the temptations of lobha, wealth, want to have more and more and more and not satisfied. And that temptations we are reminded of Duryodhan. He had everything. He had the whole Hastinapur, but he still wanted Indraprasth. When he was counting the gifts that they got during the inauguration of the Indraprastha palace, everybody got some service to do. And Duryodhan, being the relative of Pandavas, he was asked to count the gifts, whatever the gifts they received at the Graha Pravesh. And after a few days, when they went back to Hastinapur, he was very sad and morose. And Dhritarashtra asked Duryodhan, what happened to you? He said, kind of chariots they got. Oh, so beautiful elephants, soldiers, horses, so many beautiful gifts. And Duryodhan said, Dhritarashtra said, but Duryodhan, even you have them. He said, yeah, I have them, but I don't have what he has. He has a better one. I want that which he has. So yeah, that's one temptation where you are never happy with what you have and you're always looking at what he has. Maybe he has a bigger car or a bigger room or a bigger house or a whatever. So that's one temptation. Then the temptation to be envious of others. Comparison. He's having better facilities or other resentment over others' success, feeling very envious. How can this person be so successful, right? So then when we are reminded of Daksha or Ramachandra Puri, right? Daksha was so envious of Lord Shiva and ultimately he ended up with a goat head. And then there is temptations of justification. I'm right. Nobody can say anything to me. I'm always right. That's kind of a temptation. You always want to justify why I said this, why I did that. Nobody should, misunderstand me. And temptation of self-deception. Justifying to yourself that even if you know you are wrong, that's all right. I think you are right. She shouldn't have spoken like that. I think you spoke right. Just justifying to yourself. That when you talk about it, you are reminded of Karna. He very well knew that he's wrong. But he was justifying. I think I can do it because she treated me badly. She was my mother. I was the eldest son. She just put me in the Ganges. And on whose mercy did she leave me? So I think I'm okay to behave like this because she was wrong to me. So as we always say, two wrongs cannot be right. Just because somebody did wrong to us and so now I will do wrong. So wrong and wrong does not become right. Even if a person has done wrong to you, you have to behave rightly. So there can be that kind of a temptation where we justify our behavior saying that he did like that. So it's okay for me to speak like that. It's okay for me to do like that. So then we are reminded of Karna. And now comes spiritual temptations. Because when you go further in spiritual life, then there are certain goodies you start receiving, or rather I can say certain side benefits. Just like the medicine have certain side effects, spirituality has certain side benefits. You start giving classes and you start guiding few devotees or make certain people chant, and then they start respecting you. And they start just few years ago, people used to call you by your name, and now suddenly you are Mataji. Everybody calls you, Lakshmi Mataji, this Mataji, that Mataji. You have had tag with you, and everybody is so respectful to you. And when they talk to you, they say Dandavat Pranam, and that's a temptation. Wow, everybody is respecting me, and So that is one kind of a temptation. I'm not making this up. This is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. There are these different symptoms. What happens, So there is this one kind of a symptom in unsteady devotion is where you get tempted by the temporary or by certain things that you start receiving when you go a little further in spiritual life, and you start enjoying them so much that you start thinking, maybe this is the all of spiritual life, and I think I know everything, and I think I'm done. But they don't understand that this is just the beginning, and the journey has just begun. Just like we see during the churning of the milk ocean, so many beautiful things came up. But the demigods kept patience because they knew that this is not what I want. We are looking for Amrita at the end. So even though there's so many nice things coming up, they waited patiently. So yeah, there is a temptation of becoming impatient where, a little respect from others and the little things that you start getting in your spiritual life, and you become overly tempted by those, and you forget that your main goal was to go back home, back to Godhead. So it often happens with devotees, because when they come in Krishna consciousness, they come very naive. I want to learn. I'm insignificant. I don't know anything. How should I become Krishna conscious? But as soon as they're a little bit in Krishna consciousness, and they start thinking, actually, I have come to help others. If I don't help, how will this person become devotee? How that person? I think I need to rectify everybody. I need to help everybody in this world. But we forget that actually I came to help myself. But in the process, the goal of our life is to be corrected by others. But in just a little time, we start thinking the goal of my life is to correct others. We completely change our perspective. So these are the temptations. And what should we do with these temptations? How do we fight against these temptations? So the scriptures, before we even go to how do we fight with this kind of or types of temptations, what are the causes of these temptations? Okay, we came to know that these are the different kind of temptations that a person gets in their life. So why does this temptation happen? Because this question was even asked by Arjuna to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita in the chapter 3, verse number 36. He says, my Lord, we understand that suppose this thing is not good, but still we are forced to do it as if there is some underlying force which is impelling us to indulge in that sinful act. So what is this force and why is it happening? And then, Krishna in the consequent verses answer that what is this cause? The cause, Krishna says, is lust. The lust that is there in our heart causes temptations or causes us to indulge in things which we know very well is not good for us, but we end up indulging. Was the another cause of temptation? In the Bhagavad Gita 6.6, Krishna says, mind. Because if you don't control your mind and don't make your mind your friend, then that same mind will become your very big enemy and you will be in big mess. So mind is another cause of temptation. What's the other cause of temptation? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, verse number 59, in the second chapter, lack of higher taste. Lack of higher taste is also cause of our temptations. Because when you don't have anything big to do in your life, then everything small also it becomes big. When you have something really big goal in life, then small things will not bother because you want to do something big. But when you have nothing big to do, then every small thing is a big issue now. Because you have nothing to do. You're free, unemployed, idle mind, lots of time. So now you want to make an issue about every small thing. Why this happened, why that happened, why this happened, and you'll be tempted. You see in case of Sugriva also, when there was no purpose, he engaged in pleasures, enjoying with his but as soon as he got a purpose, when they crossed the bridge, right? They made this bridge and they crossed and they reached Lanka. At that time also he was offered temptations. He was offered by Ravana half of his kingdom. But Sugriva did not budge because now he had a higher purpose. Unless you have a higher purpose in your life, you will be tempted. So another cause of temptation is lack of higher taste. The other cause of temptations is no spiritual emergency kit. You don't have any emergency kit with you. I'll elaborate on this. Certain times, certain temptations are because of environment or because of things that are visible to you. There's something lying in front of me, gulab jamun is lying and I'm tempted, so I will eat. But sometimes the temptation is because of the invisible things that is inside our heart. External you can see, but the internal desire, it's not visible, but that also is a cause of temptation. So externally maybe you can remove certain things, but inside the desire, what to do about it? That desire inside your heart is causing temptation, right? Objects outside are visible, but the desires inside are invisible. An invisible enemy is more dangerous than the visible enemy because you can't fight the invisible enemy. What happened with Jayadratha? When this tussle was there between Arjuna and Jayadratha made himself invisible. He was hiding somewhere behind the Kauravas. And Arjuna was not able to fight because he can't even see him to fight with him. And finally Krishna had to intervene. Same thing we see in the case in Ramayana with Indrajit. Ram and Lakshman were trying to fight with Indrajit, but Indrajit had this power, he had this siddhi by which he became, invisible, and Lakshman doesn't even know where should I throw the arrow because I can't even see Indrajit. And because he was not able to see Indrajit, then Indrajit sent the snake arrow on Lakshman and Lord Ram, and then they both were covered by snakes. And then finally what happens? Garuda comes and saves them. So like that, the desire in our heart is invisible and it's cause of temptation. And sometimes certain wars we can't fight ourselves, we need help. Just like Lord Rama and Lakshman needed external help from Garuda because Indrajit was not visible. Arjun needed help from Krishna because Jayadratha was not visible. So to fight this inner war with our desires, we also need external help. And that is the association of devotees, association of Guru, and the mercy of Krishna. So yes, the spiritual emergency kit, that is Guru and Krishna and the association of devotees, is required. Sometimes we need external help to fight temptations, because actually temptations are very difficult to give up. You can't give up temptations, you can't give up desires. So many material desires keep propping up. The only thing that you can do is, you can't reject desires, you can overcrowd them. In the sense, there are many material desires that we have, but we should overcrowd them with spiritual desires. So then there is this tussle, and the spiritual desires will ultimately push the material desires out. So the spiritual desires in and the material desires go out. So you have to overcrowd them. See, Srila Prabhupada was not only successful because of his renunciation, he was successful because of his desire. He had this fiery spiritual desire. I want to do something for my Guru. So that is why at the age of 69, he could travel 14 times around the globe, write more than 60 books, 4,000 hours of lecture, 108 temples, 10,000 disciples. How did he do that? So it's not only renunciation, the fierce spiritual desire. So when you have a strong spiritual desire, then that can push the material desire out. But where should I get this spiritual desire from? By association. Because people think association means taking selfie. Association means maybe having prasadam together. Association means just to be staying in the same room. No. Association, or the essence of association, means transfer of desires. When you associate with Guru, when you associate with devotees, what you do is there is a transfer of desire. You take their desire as your desire. And that is the essence of association. And now you have that same spirit and you want to carry forward the vision. So on our own, we may not have spiritual desires. But when we associate with the devotees who have spiritual desires, then that spiritual desires get transferred to us. And when the spiritual desires start crowding in our heart, then the material desires have to go out. So bhakti is not about giving up desires, but it's about taking up spiritual desires. And once we have the spiritual desires and we start acting on it, and then we start engaging our senses in fulfilling those spiritual desires, then the temptations become weak. So the short way is to get busy. If we keep ourselves busy, then there will be no place for temptations. I remember when I was when we were very new to Vishakhapatnam, there was so many services that I had to do because there were very few devotees. So it was not like I had one department. I have to do the puja, I have to do the marketing, I have to do the fund collection, then I have to take care of the go down because devotees used to go in bus. So I have to give them stock, So it's like sit down and one mala, count tulsi malas, count japa beads, give them the stock, what is the missing. And then I had a little child. So carry him, then feed him. It was like so many things happening that I didn't even have a time to breathe. By the time I used to sleep in the night, I hit the bed, I'm like a dead, and then with a little child, sometimes the whole night you can't sleep, then again get up in the morning. This is so much to do, and pick up the phones. The phone keeps ringing. So when I went to Mayapur, I was like, for some time it was like, wow, just doing chanting. Take prasadam, do chanting. Wow, maybe this is how spiritual life is supposed to be. So when there was one Swamiji was giving a class, and I asked him a question, and I said, I'm not getting, I have so much service, I'm not getting time, I asked him. So then the answer he gave me is that he said, you want time for what? Time for what? Are you not completing your rounds? No, I'm completing my rounds. Then what do you want time for? I don't know. For that one fraction of a second, I just thought, exactly, what do I want time for? I'm just doing Krishna's service. This is what I'm supposed to do. That is what I've engaged my life, I've dedicated my life for, to be busy for Krishna from morning to night. And then I thought, right. And then he told me something so profound. He said, the moment you have time for yourself, that means you're going to give space to Maya. Do you want time for Maya? I said, no. I just wanted to read the scriptures deeply, I told him. And he laughed and he said, try doing it without seva. Try reading scriptures deeply, and how you will fall in Maya. So Prabhupada is very kind. He knows we are not that smart. So he's made our life so engaging, and our senses are so busy doing so many things for Krishna that there is no place for Maya. And I personally did that in my life when I had a little surgery in my back. So I had to just lie down on the bed. It was in the month of Pongal. And then I was like, okay, maybe this is a good time, no service, and I can only keep reading. And I tried doing that, and I understood that, no, our senses need service. Only chanting and reading, no. The bead and the broom has to go together. My Siksha Guru used to always tell me, if you don't carry the broom, then you can't chant with the beads. And if you have not chanted properly, then you won't get the privilege to hold the broom for Krishna. And for the rest of my life, I always remember that. The broom and the bead has to go simultaneously. The day I think I'll keep the broom and simply do beads, it's not going to work. And the day I simply broom and I remove my beads and don't do my prescribed 16 rounds, the broom is going to become very, very mechanical. It has to go together. So yes, temptations come when you give space for Maya. The best way to save ourselves from temptation is to keep ourselves busy. The other thing that we can do is, don't underestimate Maya. One of the other cause of temptations is we underestimate Maya. We think, I'm 30 years in Krishna consciousness. I think I can manage. No, you can never manage. Because Vishwamitra tried for 10,000 years. Still the ankle bell of Urvashi or Ramba or Menaka, whatever you call, disturbed. So we are not greater than Vishwamitra, or we are not greater than those rishis. They were so austere. They were not even eating. We still have pizza from Govinda's, and then what can we talk about austerity? The only austerity in our lives is Ekadashi, but these sages were so austere, but there were still chances, that they got distracted. So what about us? So don't underestimate Maya, and keep yourself or expose yourself to agitating environment. Out of sight will be out of mind. We get tempted because we are so overconfident, and we expose ourselves to certain things which we are not supposed to expose. So I remember there was this one experiment that the Google did it. The employees in the Google company were all getting sick because of sedentary lifestyle, sitting all the time on the laptop, and then the health insurance bill was going high. So they called some consultant, and how can we make sure that everybody becomes healthy? So they said, in your cafeteria, you have these goodies which are full of sugar and cheese and, all that butter and all, and you are having transparent containers, so we can't tell you to change the menu of the cafeteria, but instead of transparent containers, you keep them in, opaque, like, not very clearly visible. Just keep them closed. Only when somebody asks for it, you can give it. So they did that for 6 months. All those cakes and pastries and goodies and whatever were visible, they just closed it. Only when somebody over the counter orders it, they gave it. And within 6 months, they could see that everybody's health started improving. So yeah, if you keep yourself exposed, if something is very much visible, you will be tempted. And then you can't ask question at the end of the Sunday feast class, why am I getting tempted? Because you're exposing yourself to tempting environment. Keep yourself away from those kind of an environment. So my favorite story about temptation is about that king who was asked by the doctors not to eat mango, because if he eats mango, he will die. And the king is like, one day he goes on hunting with his minister, and they get tired, and they were sleeping under a tree. So a mango falls on his head. So immediately the minister says, my dear king, let's run away from here. Why? Oh, this is a mango tree. So what? The doctor told me not to eat mango, but I can sit under the mango tree. That's all. Don't be a fool. Sit down and relax. And after some time, another mango fall. And then the king picks up. And the minister said, don't, that's a mango. And the king says, don't be a fool. Doctor told me not to eat. There's no harm in touching it. I'm just seeing if it's ripe or not. And then he brings it close to his nose and starts smelling it. And the minister says, but what are you doing? He says, I'm just smelling it. Don't be a fool. I'm not eating it. And then he's just about to, take out one, and he said, what are you doing? He said, I'm just tasting it. I'm not eating it. So, the close association with mango, and finally he ends up eating it. So this is what happens in our life. We end up having close association with Maya, and then we have questions like, why am I not able to control? Why am I not having focus on my chanting? Why am I getting tempted by this? Don't expose yourself. Keep yourself safe. Temptations will come, but we don't welcome. We don't welcome them. Yeah, they will come. But the best way to deal with temptations is not to deal with them. That's the best way to deal with them. Just keep them at safe distance. Keep a safe distance from them. I'm just reminded of this one pastime where Srila Prabhupada went to a zoo, and there was a brahmachari also with Prabhupada, and then there's this lion's cub, very sweet and cute and innocent looking. So this brahmachari goes a little more closer to the cage, and is like, Prabhupada, so he's so sweet looking, so innocent. And immediately he roars, and this brahmachari is startled. And Prabhupada said, this is how Maya is. Maya looks just like this, very innocent. But it's not innocent. Maya is not innocent, just like the cub of a lion may look innocent, but it's not innocent. Maya is ruthless, or we can say Maya is so heartless. Sometimes years and years of devotional service, but one mistake we make and she may just take us away from Krishna. She's heartless, and she doesn't even take a break. It's like, we can't okay, at least give me one day break. No, she's always on duty, 24/7, waiting for us to do something and then, catch us. So yeah, underestimating Maya, that is also one cause of temptation. We should be very, very careful. And now I said the lust is one cause of, Maya, cause of temptation. So I'm also giving you now the solutions, what Krishna gives. So when Krishna talks about lust, so now how do we overcome lust? So Krishna says by changing lust into love, by transforming lust into love. So how do I transform lust into love? By loving Krishna. Okay, how do I love Krishna? By intelligence. So that means ultimately it comes to by improving your intelligence. That means by improving your knowledge. That means by reading scriptures. So the more and the more you come to know about Krishna, and the more your conviction on Krishna grows, then lesser you are tempted. Like as I said in the beginning of the class, when you have nothing big to do, then everything small becomes big. But when you read scriptures and you develop the right intelligence, then your conviction becomes very strong. And when your conviction is strong, then you'll be able to be more disciplined, right? Like those students who are very keen about getting into IITs or IIMs, such discipline they have. They don't need anybody's inspiration because they know their goal and they're always dreaming. Yes, I'll be there. IIT, then IIM, and then whatever, some big job or some Goldman Sachs or whatever. So they are very clear of their goal and that keeps them moving. So if one is really convinced about their spiritual goal or their spiritual purpose, then automatically discipline will come and they won't be tempted. But that conviction has to be strong. You have to be deeply convinced, and that deep convincing will come only after regular reading. So I tell you, there are many things that we hear and we like them also, nice, but we are not deeply convinced. I tell you personally, in my own life, I hear many nice things about how one should take care of one's health, how Prabhupada talks about first health, and then I was not deeply convinced about it and not inspired. Okay, whatever Prabhupada says is right, but that deep conviction was not there. I'm like, okay, fine. First is seva. First is, this. First is I have to do so many things. And then finally, a couple of last month or something, I felt really sick. And then now somewhere, deep in my heart, I'm feeling like, no, I really want to do it. And now when I really want to do it, I'm able to do it. But when I hear it from everybody, and I was always give excuses, did you go for a walk today? I had this seva, I had that seva. Did you do this? No, I had this. Did you have prasadam? No, I didn't have time. I took lunch at 4 o'clock. Because there was no deep conviction about taking care of one's health. But when you experience certain things, then you become a real... Otherwise, there are many things you are seeing other people also suffer, right? You are observing how the others are suffering if they don't take care of your health, but you still don't feel inspired. So sometimes it's like that, certain things, you don't have that conviction, then you can't get the discipline. So in spirituality also, unless you have that, conviction, then, and once that conviction is there, then no temptations will disturb you, no matter what people says. So when somebody is not getting inspired or getting tempted, one way to control oneself is to think about the consequences. What's going to happen if I do, or what's going to happen? Because sometimes we give up on something we so much wanted for something that we are very comfortable just now. Oh, now this feels very good, so I'm okay with it, and we forget what's going to be the result or consequence of it. So that is one thing, that when we keep regularly reminding ourselves of the consequence, then we can be free from temptation. And then of course the other is bad association. And the other thing, that is patience. Sometimes we are tempted for immediate results, something that you want just now, but we need to have a lot of patience. Okay, this is very austere for me right now to not indulge in this thing, but think about what is going to do for me in future, and that will help us to be inspired not to get tempted. You can always remember the marshmallow experiment that the Stanford University did, where they had different children in different rooms, and then and they had a piece of marshmallow in front of them, and then they told them that if you don't eat it and just wait for 15 minutes, we'll give you 2 more. And they had all the children in different rooms, and some of them, they didn't wait, they just ate it, and some of them, they waited, and then they got 2 more. And then the scientists, they continued their research, and they kept a track of all these students, and they realized that those students who had patiently waited for 2 more pieces of marshmallow did very well in their life. So yeah, patience, always think about, what future holds for you, and somehow resist that wave of temptation when it comes very strongly, thinking about the future. And one other thing that you can do is to write journal. When we write what are the kinds of temptations that we are facing, and when we speak to Krishna about it, then that also helps us in reducing the intensity of temptations. And the other thing is to not deny it, but to delay it. Sometimes if we delay indulging in it, then the force sometimes comes down. Because sometimes, we are always oscillating between sattva, rajas and tamas mode. So sometimes when the rajas and tamas are too high, we just get too tempted. And then again, sometimes, that mode changes, and when we become we're in sattvic mode, then the temptations or that agitation becomes very low. So for us to transit from that mode to this mode, sometimes it takes time. So what we can do is, instead of saying no, because the moment you say no to your mind, it will not agree, it will say I want it right now, you just delay it, saying not today, tomorrow it, or not today, I will schedule it. So by the time you schedule it or you delay it, then the intensity goes down. See, the whole point is, if you try to suppress something, it can't stay long. We are not trying to suppress, we are trying to transform. Then it will work out. Because all of us have a lower mode and a higher mode, a higher taste and a lower taste, and there is a tussle between it. You can't completely give up on lower taste, but you can manage it by slowly transforming the lower taste. See, for example, let's say somebody is tempted to get angry. So now he will temporarily try to control himself by saying that I should not get angry. So 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, but the 101st time he may get angry, he may explode. So if you are trying to, dominate it, it will not happen. But if you are trying to integrate it, then it will work out. Suppression or domination won't work. Transformation. So actually understanding what is the cause, why I shouldn't do it, convincing oneself, practicing it, working on it, being mindful about it, that will happen. Temporarily trying to stop something will not happen. Right. So we have to maintain an easy balance or a right balance. I was just thinking that sometimes even, there are 2 things about us. One is the present, that we are actually, I'm like this now. And one is the future, which we want to see ourselves. Sometimes, some people are too obsessed with the future, or some people are too obsessed with the present. Both are not going to work. Even if you see the different parenting styles, if you see the Eastern parents, they're too obsessed with future. By class 2, class 4, class 7, they start telling the children, come on, you have to go to IIT, come on, coaching, you have to get good marks. They're too obsessed with future. And sometimes they just ruin the present of the child. And sometimes you see the Western parenting, they are too obsessed with the present. And sometimes, the children, they are not trained to think about I need to save up for the future. They just live in the present. Both are not healthy. But a proper balance between them will be nice. Yeah. Yukta ahara viharasya. You don't make your children study 12 hours a day in pursuit of some future. You maintain a proper, and neither you make them you do whatever you want to do, who cares about the future, because then you are spoiling his future. But a yukta ahara viharasya, a proper balance. So yes, you cannot give up on all desires. You just have to categorize those desires and see how you can engage them, or how they are interacting with your spiritual pursuit. Because every desire cannot be given up. In desires also you have to categorize which is devotional, pro-devotional, which is non-devotional, which is anti-devotional, and how these desires are interacting with my spiritual pursuit, and how much importance to be given to what, and deal with it in a proper way. But if you say, I'll give up on everything, that will not happen. And even if you do so, it won't last long. For some time you will do it. So I've seen many devotees they will overly try to do something, and ultimately they'll not do anything at the end. And I've seen personally in my life, there's one particular devotee that I was dealing with, and the devotee is chanting 64 rounds, reading all the time Bhagavatam. Then I told that, don't do like that. You just do 16 rounds, do service, take proper rest, do everything in a balanced way, otherwise you won't be able to continue. And that person was like, he left our temple. I want to do 64. I don't know what he was thinking himself of Haridas Thakur or what. I am going to do that. And after 4 years, when I went to Pune, I heard that he completely left the spiritual life. Completely, absolutely. Now he's in something else. And I was just remembering that I tried so much to tell him that please maintain a balance, please maintain a balance. And he felt I was discouraging him in his spiritual life by telling him not to chant 60. I said, you do everything in a balanced way. You need to interact with the devotees, you need to mix with the devotees, attend the programs, hear, be part of yatras, do everything in a balanced way. Don't overdo anything, because Maya is very powerful. If she finds us alone, she will attack us. But say everything has to be yukta ahara viharas. Everything has to be a proper balance. So there are so many causes of temptation, and to deal with the temptation is to maintain a safe distance, to have our spiritual emergency kit, that is Guru, Krishna and association of devotees, to not try to fight every battle alone, take help from the devotees, and how to remove the lust by taking help of intelligence, which can be developed by reading scriptures, by developing a higher trace, and then also by making your mind your friend. And how do you make your mind your friend? By mantra. So you do all this at the same time. You do chanting, you do japa, you do mantra, because that's the only way to control your mind. So when you are chanting, you may say, but my battle is something else, but you are asking me to chant. So it's all interconnected. For example, somebody may go to a doctor and say, I'm having a pain in my head, and the doctor may give medicine to clear the bowels. And somebody may say, but why are you clearing my bowel and giving me medicine for stomach? I have a headache. But the headache has come because there is constipation. It's all interrelated. So I'm facing a particular temptation right now, and you are asking me chant Hare Krishna. That's how it works. Because when you chant, then mind becomes peaceful. You can see things clearly. So bhakti helps you fight your other battles very easily. Whereas doing bhakti itself is another battle that we have to face, because we don't want to do it. We don't want to chant. We are tempted not to chant. But we have to take help and somehow do this mantra, and then, make our minds peaceful, because this one war, if we fight successfully, that is somehow chant Hare Krishna and train our mind, then other battles will be more easily fought, because the cloud, will be gone and we can see things more clearly. And also, sometimes, no matter what you do, unless you have Krishna's mercy, even though you are trying your best, maybe you're not in the agitating environment, when you're doing everything right, but still nothing happens rightly. For example, you see Saubara Muni. He was not in downtown New York. Neither he was watching any hoardings, or neither he was watching any movies. He was sattvic somewhere inside a river, doing austerities, not eating pizzas from Govindas. He was just doing everything possible to be out of temptation. But then he just saw a fish copulating, he just saw a fish mating. That's it. He gave up his all austerities and went and married Mandata's 50 daughters. So what happened? That means we are so much in need of the mercy of devotees, their association, Guru and Krishna. Otherwise we can't. On our own we may be austere like Saubara Muni, sitting under, meditating under water. But still, unless we have association of devotees and somebody to help us, we won't be able to fight with Maya. And on the contrast, Saubara Muni was doing austerity, but what Haridas Thakur was doing was he was taking shelter of mantra, chanting Krishna's name. So he could resist the prostitute who was ready there for enjoyment. And this guy, there was nobody there to enjoy, just a fish which is, mating, and he got attracted because he didn't take shelter of mantra. He didn't take shelter of Krishna. He took shelter of his own personal strength. Personal strength doesn't help. Right? He didn't try to transform himself. He was suppressing himself by closing his eyes and meditating. But Haridas Thakur chanted, took shelter of Harinam, and he transformed himself. So that way he could resist Maya, right? So yes, this is one thing, that take shelter of Krishna, because temptation is strong, but Krishna is stronger. When you take shelter of Guru and Krishna, only then you can resist Maya. So yes, the more you sweat in ease, the less you bleed in war. That means when you are in peace, you chant, then there are less probability of getting kicked by Maya. So yeah, we have to be very, very careful, all the time alert, because temptation doesn't take a day off. It's always behind us, so we can't take a day off. And we have to have a purpose, a higher purpose in life. And temptation is temporary, but Krishna is permanent, so we should make wise choices, right? So yes, so these are the different causes, and these are the different small solutions that we can do to can't conquer temptations, but at least we can manage. Only thing that mind has to be conquered, and mind can be conquered by mantra. So we have to take shelter of mantra. It's difficult, but if we don't give up, then Krishna will not give up on us. We should do what we can, and Krishna will do what we can't. So we can try our 100%, and rest is up to Krishna. Sometimes after doing everything also there may be chances that one may get tempted due to previous life karma or due to Krishna's Leela, we don't know. But at least we should keep trying. So I will end this with a last small acronym, dear devotees, since we are talking about resisting temptation. I have come up with this acronym RESIST, RESIST, resist. So how can we resist temptation? If you want to simply keep in your mind this, whenever a temptation comes in front of you, R for remember the why. Remember the why. Why am I doing this? What is the higher purpose? Why am I into this? Why should I indulge in this? Why? For what? What am I going to get it? So always ask the right whys. So R for remembering the why. And then E for edit your inputs. That means control your digital diet. You see, now when the health is not good, the doctor gives you, control your diet, don't take oil, don't take this. Similarly, we have to control our digital diet. How much are we feeding our eyes and ears with the social media content? So control that. So R is for remembering your whys, E is for editing your input, how much digital diet that you are giving as an input, and S is for start the day with Krishna. When your mornings are with Krishna, you do your chanting, then you can face the day wonderfully, because when you chant, when you finish your 16 rounds, it's like the kavacha, and when you wear your kavach and go out, there may be so many arrows people may be throwing on you, but if the kavach is right, then the arrow will not hit you. But if you're not doing your rounds properly, then every small thing will hurt you. Why did he say this? Why did he said that? Why did she said that? But when we are connected to Krishna, we chant, we understand we are not this body, we are soul, we are servants. Automatically that humility comes, and then, somebody says something, you don't even feel bad about it. So start your day with Krishna. And then I for identify the triggers. Understand, know your weak spots. You know very well what triggers, what situation what triggers your, and how, when you get tempted, in what situation you get tempted, you know it. You very well know it. So be conscious of them and don't indulge in them. And S for surround yourself with the emergency kits. That is the first aid or the devotee kit, devotees. Surround yourself with the devotees. Don't fight alone. It's very difficult to fight alone with temptations. When you're getting tempted to something, the first thing you pick up your phone and call. Call somebody whom you idealize, call somebody who is your mentor, call somebody who you know would say something which will divert your mind from that particular temptation. Just give a call. Just speak very quickly. Or if devotees are not available, 5 minutes something, hear something, or just open a Bhagavatam, random one verse. Prabhupada will speak to you. Just open some, and then Prabhupada will give you an answer. Or just talk to some devotee, or just hear somebody for 5 minutes, that's it. And then I'm going to indulge in this only after I hear 15 minutes of this katha on random. Some katha or some devotee that you are inspired from. And the last one is turn to Krishna. When something is too much on your mind and you know it's not right for you, then you just negotiate with your mind, okay, fine, but at least I want to finish this rounds, or at least I want to finish my rounds, and then, then indulge into it. So when you turn to Krishna, you take Krishna's help, then Krishna can change everything. So yeah, whenever you're in that kind of situation, just pause, pray, and then proceed. Keep these 3 P's in your mind. I'll pause. Even when you're tempted to say something or do something or indulge in something, just pause. Don't immediately do it. Tell your mind, negotiate, ask for some time. I'll do it, but just give me some time. Pause, and then pray, and then you say, fine, now proceed. Then things will happen properly. Even if it's a material desire, look towards Krishna. Looks towards Krishna. What Dhruva Maharaj did, went to Krishna, and he got purified. Right? So yes, dear devotees, our mind, one may say that, my mind is favorable, I'm fine. Actually, you feel sometimes the mind is favorable, but the real test is when temptation arises. The real test will come when you are put into provocating situations. When you're not into provocating situations, you'll think my mind is fine, I'm okay. No, your mind is quiet. It's not conquered. Your mind is under hibernation. Just like the lions or the tigers in the olden days, or not olden days, just couple of decades ago when I was a little girl, I used to watch this circus, in Hyderabad city. And sometimes they used to shift the animals, right, from one city to another for the circus. They used to give some kind of an injections to the tiger and all. They don't kill them, but so that they are in hibernation, and then they shift them from one place to another. Their anesthesia is given, so they are like, but anesthesia is given, they're unconscious, they're not dead. So sometimes our mind, it's not dead. So many old habits and old desires are still very much there. It's quiet as of now, but it's not conquered. So we have to be very careful. Sometimes we think, I'm fine, I'm just, everything is so fine. No, it's not. Unless and until we really work on it. If we don't seriously work on it, any small trigger and we will be swept away, right? So we have to seriously work on it, have a proper discipline, do chant, be in association of devotees, read regularly. We may not, even if we hear hundreds of classes about temptations, dear devotees, we may not win every war with temptations. Sometimes we will win, sometimes Maya will win, and that's fine. That's what the game is all about. You don't always win. It's okay. Even the whole point is to be resilient. That's very important. Sometimes consistency may not be possible. Every time that I give any kind of a session, the first question the devotees will ask is, it's very nice when you hear it, I also want to do it, but when actually situation arises, I'm unable to do it. Yeah, fine, then that's going to happen. It's a war. It's a game. You will sometimes win, and sometimes you will fall, sometimes you will win, sometimes he will win. But keep playing the game. Don't come out of it. Just continue and continue and continue. It's okay if there is no consistency. Just be resilient. You may fall, but get up again and get up and get up and again. That's all we can do, right? So let's do what we can, and then Krishna will do what we can't. So yes, dear devotees, Krishna is our commander, and Japa is our shield, and Bhagavatam is our weapon. So let's become spiritual warrior and fight with this temptation, and let's not scroll into the enemy territory just after this class. Let's be strong. So with this, I'll end it here, and I'll open the forum if they have any questions, suggestions, corrections. Thank you so much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for giving such an inspiring and empowering session. We learned a lot from all the lessons and all the dealings you gave us about temptations that we can have in our life, and the ways we can escape from all these temptations by not dealing with them at all.
As long as you identify with the body, you will feel hurt. As long as you identify that you are this body, you will feel hurt. As long as you think I'm this, I'm that, you feel hurt. The moment you get the real identity that I'm servant of Krishna, then we don't feel hurt. But as long as we think I'm this and this and this, that's why you see that Sarva Upadhi Vinirmukta. Every instruction of Rupa Goswami is very deep because he can understand what is our problem. We have this identity, I'm American, I'm from such and such family. You know how educated I am. You know how many, I don't know how many people work under me. Do you even know? Before I came to ISKCON, 200 people were working under me. See, that kind of things, it will continue. It's not that after 5 years or 10 years, even after 40 years in ISKCON, you may still think I came from such and such family, I'm from here and there. So many things, the day you will feel my only identity is I'm servant of Krishna, I'm a dog of Srila Prabhupada, and that's why you see Bhaktivinoda Thakur bhajan, Amito Kukur, you are my master, I am your dog. And a dog, what is the identity dog has? Sometimes the dog is kicked also, the dog doesn't mind. Because the dog knows, hey, is my master. The day we are on that level where you think I'm Krishna's dog, I'm, my Guru's dog, I'm Guru Param, I'm Srila Prabhupada's dog. That day will not feel anything because you will feel, actually, why this person spoke like this, supposed to speak more harshly with me because I have been so harsh to myself. My soul has been moving from one body to another for so many lifetimes now. I never got mercy on my own soul. And I'm going on indulging in so many material distractions. And now somebody says something and I feel very bad, as if I'm something very great or what. So, when your body, identity with that body, as it goes down and down, your hurt ratio also will go down and down. You don't feel, you don't feel bad about it anymore. Because when you see the real picture, when you see the bigger picture, when you see that you existed even before this birth and you're going to exist even after this, and what you're living now is a very, very small, insignificant time, and you have better things to do, then you don't feel hurt because there's so many things to do. Like I always give this example that when the house is burning, your only problem is how do I get out? At that time, if somebody says, but your sari is not iron. Oh really? Shall I iron it? No. The house is burning. I need to get out. I'm not bothered about my ironing of my sari. So same thing when somebody is convinced that I need to go back home, back to God. At that time, they're not worried that why did she spoke about me like this? Forget it. Who speaks about me what? I need to go back home, back to Godhead. And what should I do? How should I work on my nature? How should I improve? How should I become a better person? Till we get that eagerness, we'll waste our time in improving people around us, situations, circumstances, try to make things better, then trying to make ourselves better. I hope it makes sense. So what I understand your question is that since I'm a student, it becomes... I'm sorry? Am I clear now? Okay, so you said sometimes as a student, it becomes a little difficult to do things in the morning. So can I do it in the afternoon or can I do it in the evening? See, when I say morning, what I'm trying to tell you is that before you actually go to the outside world, if you have touched Krishna, then things will become easy for you. If you are not connected to Krishna and then you go around in the outside world, there are more chances for you to get hurt by people. So just like a warrior, when he goes on the war, they wear the kavacha, they wear the shield. After that, anybody puts the arrow also, nothing happens to them. So now it's not that, I would not insist that you have to do your rounds in the morning, because I feel that, everybody has a different situation and circumstance, and ideally, it's nice to do it in the morning because there are so many other reasons. It's Brahma Muhurta, the demigods, it's a very auspicious time. Everybody around the world, around the universe is chanting at that time, the demigods, the sages. So it becomes more easier, the vibrations are good. All said and done. Practically, when, you are working, you're in a particular situation where it's not possible, fine, go ahead, you chant in afternoon, evening, whatever time it is. But in the morning, even if it's briefly, if you get yourself, immunized, or, wear your jacket, then it's more easier. That's all I'm trying to say, that because we know it's going to rain outside, so let's wear the raincoat and go. That's it. But at the same time, even when you chant in the evening and all, okay, if you are able to constantly remember Krishna and be in that consciousness, it's fine. But we have that tendency to be reminded every time. Even we have just finished our rounds in the evening and slept, there are all chances in the morning. Again, we may be in a different mode, become Rajasic mode, because we are rushing to the office or rushing to the college. So a little time in the mode of Shuddha Sattva, a little time with Krishna, and that will equip you to face the world, which is again in different modes. So yeah, a little time. I can understand. Sometimes it's very challenging, but you can plan things around it. Some things that you do in the morning, maybe you can shift them in the night beforehand and make things ready so that you get that little time with Krishna in the morning to act. That's only to help us. That's about it. It helps us to face the world. That's it. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm very happy to know that, Krishna is back of your mind. Yeah, to bring him back of our mind, we also have to keep him front of our mind. Then things will happen. If we regularly and consistently keep him in front, then there are chances that he'll also remain in the back of our mind, But for that discipline sadhana is required to keep it constantly. It's always nice to feel guilty. Then there is scope of improvement. Otherwise, there are many such self-help writers and authors and motivators who will say, you are perfect just the way you are. I've seen a young boy wearing a t-shirt, you are perfect just the way you are. I don't know what does that mean. I mean, there is a scope of improvement. So at the same time, maintain a healthy balance. After guilt, there should be action. Only guilt will be empty and it will not be of much use. But if the guilt is followed by action, oh, I'm guilty that I didn't chant and that's why I make it up, then that's very healthy and it should go this way. Because if we are not having any guilt, then we won't improve also. I'm reminded of this one devotee. He kept the fan on and closed the room. And he left, and Prabhupada came and he saw that, the fan is on and the room is closed and nobody is even there in the room. So he immediately, he asked, who did this? And they said, Prabhupada, this devotee did it. And Prabhupada, for 10 days continuously, he kept on taunting him. In every Bhagavatam class, in every management meeting, in every time, he just says, fan on, room closed. Fan is on, room is closed. And after 10 days, this devotee got frustrated. Okay, fine, one mistake. How many times will you keep telling me? In the classes, every time, ultimately, if he's sitting in the Bhagavatam class, again the topic will come there only. Fan is on, room is closed. Then he told Tamal Krishna Maharaj, I'm leaving ISKCON. Prabhupada is too hard on me. I'm leaving it. I'm not able to take it. All the time he's hammering me. I know the whole class is on me only. And when Tamal Krishna Maharaj went and told that to Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, I'm very happy. So the fact that he's feeling bad, that means it's healthy relationship. The day you feel I don't care, what he says, then it's all over. There is no scope of improvement. So sometimes the teachers also, sometimes when they give up on a certain child, even if the child doesn't do homework also, they'll not say anything because they've given up. But if your teacher has not given up on you, then even a small mistake you make, she'll make a big issue about it. Because for the teacher, you're very important. And you can't make even small mistake. Like I remember when I was a student in my school, the others don't do homework, no problem. If I haven't done, maybe in my entire career, I must have not done 2 times homework. And it's a big issue for her. And she will not leave me. So then now I understand that how attached she was with me. The others don't do homework, she's not bothered, she forgives them, so it's okay. But I say one thing wrong, and for her it's too important. So how attached she was with me. So yeah. So, if you are feeling guilty, that means you are attached to Krishna. The day you don't even feel guilty, then that is dangerous. When you don't even feel bad about it. So it's always good to feel bad. Good to feel bad if you haven't done anything properly. Good to feel bad when your mentor scolds you. It's good to feel, but the only thing that feeling bad has to be followed by action. Otherwise, it's no use. It just depresses your mind and doesn't help you anyway. But after that, if you take action and you you rectify and move forward, then that's very healthy. Okay, I see many hands raised, but I already see for me in India it's 10:25. So I will take this 3 I can see very quickly and with one line answers. Okay, go ahead. And so I understand as a student, we spend some time in the morning chanting, hearing, but then there are other students who are studying with you. They may be spending their time in studying whatever is to be studied in the college, and then when you hear them, then you feel bad. Oh, they are doing well for themselves and I didn't do well. Okay, fine. So there are ways of doing things. As devotees, it doesn't mean that we ignore our studies. It's just that you plan it in a different way. So we do it we give our mind. See, when you only study without Krishna consciousness, it's going to take you more time. But when you chant and then study, the same thing which your friends may be taking more hours, you may be able to do it in shorter time. Because you see, it's like sharpening the knife. Maybe they are cutting tomatoes and you're also cutting tomatoes, but you are spending more time in sharpening the knife. So now when you cut the tomatoes, maybe you started late, but you can cut quicker because you have sharpened your knife, right? So when we are chanting and when we are connected to Krishna, then we are sharpening our intelligence and we are doing something for this life and we are also doing something for our next life, right? And we are maintaining a healthy balance between the needs of the body and soul. But then they are not doing anything for the soul and they're only doing it for the body. So you will have your last laugh, because unless and until somebody maintains a proper balance and feeds the soul also simultaneously, in long run they cannot be happy. So that is why there is something called Shreyas and there is something called Preyas. So there is something where, the short term results, you do something, an instant result, right? But something instant, and what you are trying to do is a long term process, but you will get the result soon. So you just have to have patience. And regarding studies and all, definitely even you shouldn't be ignoring your studies, and you should study well, even if you're not doing it in the morning. You can come back home from the college and do it, and definitely you can also be at par with them. Just the fact that you are chanting will not pull you down. You can simultaneously do it if you do it in the right way. So you have to plan it. If you fail to plan, that means you plan to fail, right? That's what it means. So you have to plan things properly, and definitely you can be at par. I've seen with my own elder son, I hardly find him studying. I hardly saw him studying, but he always tops in his class, and now he's in IIM Calcutta, and there also he's in the top 10 students. I don't know how does he do it. And most of the time I see he doesn't even hold the books in his hand. So sometimes, when you chant regularly and you don't indulge in wrong activities, then you have a lot of clarity and you can pick up things very fast, because if your brain is clean, if it's too many things, then there is no space for doing things, right? So when you chant mantra, then your mind becomes clean and purified, and there is more space for things. You can study better. Okay, last question. Keep your questions short, then I can answer them. Oh, you want to hear glories of Radharani? I have given a class in Telugu. I have not given a class in glories of Radharani. I have given a class in YouTube. Yeah.
And also please accept me as your Shishya Mataji, and please give me instructions following for Hare Mataji.
You can join our Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya group, where I give everyday morning class from 6 to 7, and you can be part of it. So I don't know what time it will be. I don't know from which place you are joined, but you can, India time 6 to 7 every day morning, 365 days. I give a class unless out of station or something, and you can join that group where you can ask question and interact with me on regular basis. Okay, then shall we close it here? Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji, for the very nice.
Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.